I just finished teaching my face yoga class. I did a scalp massage, so my hair is a little oily. I'm just gonna pull it back. And I thought I might as well turn on the camera while I'm doing my makeup. I haven't made a video in a while. I'm having a kind of a rough time with this divorce. Don't always have the energy to get on camera, but today's a good day, so might as well do it. So I had eye makeup on, but I did do a lot of eye exercises and massage, so I need to touch up my eye makeup. I have green eyes, so I always pick colors that make green eyes pop, and those are purples, oranges, and reddish browns. So most browns do absolutely nothing for green eyes, but Seint actually has a lot of reddish brown and sort of burgundy colors. This is my Seint eye palette. So I'm gonna put Bubba all over. That's kind of a good everyday color. And I'm just going real simple. And I just make sure I don't have too much in the inner corner here. And it looks like that color is really standing out. But once I get other makeup on, it's really not that big of a deal. It's kind of a daytime neutral color, I think. So I have that on pretty much all over. I'm going to put a lighter shimmer color in the inner corner. And I'm using Sabrina for that to bring some light there. So Bubba was a matte color. And I want a little bit, something a little bit darker in the outer corner. And I'll go with Zion. So it's another reddish brown, just a bit deeper than Bubba. In my palette, this is a brush cleaner. So if I can just quickly rub whatever color I had on before off. But I clean my eyeshadow brushes very often. So I'm just gonna put that in the outer corner and make some little circles. Go a little bit back and forth along the crease. I'm not going all the way. And the reason I like to put my eyeshadow on first is because if I make a mess, and I often do, I can easily clean it up with my makeup. So I always look in closer. Sometimes I get too much right here on this part. And I'm just gonna wipe that off with my thumb. I'm going to use the small end of the brush in that darker color as eyeliner. And you might see that it's making my eyes pop out already. This is also really good for blue eyes. Anyone can wear any color. While I'm at it, I might as well pick things that are good for my green eyes. I'll touch up my eyeliner just a bit. Empire by Urban Decay 24/7 is a purple color that's a bit softer than black. I like that, and purple highlights green eyes. But it doesn't look, obviously, you know, people aren't gonna look at you and say, oh my goodness, you have purple eyeliner on. It's not that obvious. I did buy a brown whiskey, same company, but it's just a plain brown. It doesn't have any red or orange in it, so doesn't do anything special. It's okay, it's still softer than black. Now I'm going to go to my Seint palette, and I got a few Seint orders today, so thank you all very much. I always appreciate that. I do get a commission on them. Normally my habit is to really slap it on and then use a brush and blend it in. I'll try to be a little bit neater this time so you can see better. I'll use the smudge brush to apply. So first thing I'm gonna do is put my brightening shade in all the areas where I wanna bring light to my face. And Seint calls it the brightening shade, but you can call it concealer. So it's my lighter shade. For me right now is White Peach. Sometimes I use others. I'm gonna put it in the inner corner of my eye, down halfway to the bridge of my nose, and then also the outer corner. And you don't need much, you can always add more, but this gives really good coverage with a light texture. Right above my lip and below. And then a little starburst of some kind in the center of the forehead. I like to use this white peach on my dark spot there. And I stabbed myself with my fingernail here, so I have a little mark there and a little bit of sun damage there. Under my nose is red, and I'm going to use amber there because that's a little more yellow and it cuts red better. So that's my brightening shade, middle of the face, forehead, inner and outer corner of eyes, front of the face. I don't normally contour my nose, but let's just do a little mark down the front and we'll finish the contour later. So brightening shade, next I'm going to do contour. I'm using Astoria. So you can put that right in the hollow under your cheekbone if you want to slim your face. If you feel you've lost a little volume and you want to give the illusion of lift, you can go above that hollow. So here's the hollow, so I'm just going to go above. And you don't need a lot. You really don't need to go from your temple all the way up. You just keeping it high really works for me. So here's that hollow and just going above. That's probably a 2-inch line there. Some people like to do a little swoop to highlight the lift of the cheekbone. Okay, now look, this looks lower on my face than this, so I don't like that. When you make a mistake, it's so easy to clean up. I'm just gonna grab a sponge, wipe it in an upward motion because that's where it's gonna end up going, and I'm gonna do it again. That's the beauty of cream makeup. And that looks a little more even. And this will all blend in easily. So I want to shorten the look of my chin, so I'm just going to put some of this contour right on top, and then otherwise I'm going under the jaw just to create a sharper looking line. And if I want to shorten my forehead, I'm going to go right along the hairline. If you want to shorten more, you're going to make a thicker line. So I have my brightening shade, my contour. Now for my nose, since I'm afraid I might not draw a straight line, I'm going to put a little bit of contour on my fingers, rub it together so it's even. And then you want to have them really close together because you want this just on the top of the bridge of your nose if you're trying to make your nose look a little thinner. And I'm going to just go down my nose. I have already had that little white stripe there. And then connect it at the end. And that's my nose contour. Of course, I have to blend it. Now I need to put my regular foundation shade on. So with Seint, we don't need to layer everything on top of each other, so we don't have a big pile of makeup on our face. We don't have lots of texture added to our face. My regular color at the moment, my regular color is Athens, and I'm going to dot that mostly on my lower face, just dot it around. Upper lip, sides of the nose. I have a little bit of space here for some makeup. A couple dots here. I love bronzer because it warms up my skin. Everybody that uses Seint talks about Bella bronzer, but we have other bronzers. And I think for anybody who's more on the fair or light side should try Tan Lines. It's our lightest bronzer. It's very warm. It's really nice. It looks much better on my complexion than Bella. I'm going to dot that in sort of a number 3. So it's temple, cheekbone, jaw, temple, cheekbone, jaw. So that's on the outside of the face. And I like to go across the bridge of the nose. Like if I was out in the sun, I would have a little bit of sun right there. It just adds a warmth to my kind of pale skin. I'm gonna blend this now and I'm gonna add blush later. My favorite brush is called the powder brush. And it is made for cream makeup. It does a great job. It gives more coverage when I blend it in than some of the other brushes. That's why I like it, even though I'm not using a ton of makeup. A lot of people start out with this brush. I just find that my makeup doesn't last as long when I use this one for some reason. I use the tapered end around the eyes, and I'm just starting to press. So in slow motion, I'm just doing this. I'm pressing, picking it up, pressing. So I'm going to do all the light colors first, and I don't worry too much about touching any of the other colors. I'm going to flip to this end, do the same thing, and just blend everything else in. And you don't have to worry about keeping the colors separate. And these brushes are just magic. They don't clump up. When I first bought this, I had a bunch of brand new IT brushes that I had spent money on. And even the ones that were more of a kabuki style that looked the same would pick up the cream makeup, and then they would clump together and it would put sort of holes in my makeup. It just wouldn't go on even. So if you don't want to buy Seint brushes, they're the most expensive part of, starting, but they are double-ended, so you get two in one. I would use a sponge. So this is a Seint sponge. Then this one's from a pack of sponges I got on Amazon. That's a really good high quality sponge. So if you don't want to use a Seint brush, you can just blend everything with a sponge. It might take a little bit longer, but it works very nicely. Now, if you are of the age where you're starting to have to wear reading glasses, you can't read the fine print on an aspirin bottle, always look in a magnifying mirror and just make sure you haven't skipped anything. It's very often I'll find a little clump of makeup that looks blended when I look in the regular mirror, but I realize, oh, if makeup gets caught up in your pores of your nose, just sort of do this little smushy thing, press the makeup in, and that will clear it up. Take that sponge and I'm going to press it all over my face to make sure that it picks up any excess makeup and that everything looks nice and smooth. You can spray a hydrating spray on the sponge when you do this. Mine is dry at the moment. And if you do have dry skin, I love this Hangover RX 3-in-1 spray. It's a very hydrating spray. It's a stay spray also, so it's supposed to be a primer, a hydrating spray, and a stay spray. It may make your makeup last a little bit longer, but it's not like some of those other stay sprays where it's not gonna budge, but it also doesn't make my face dry or create any more lines as the night goes on. So I really love this. You can keep adding it all day long, especially if you live in a dry climate. So while that's waiting, I will do my eyebrows. And I'm going to use my contour for that. This Astoria contour, and I have my line brush. And I'm just going to dip this end in and fill in these brows a bit. And brush. And I have discovered that my eyebrow, this eyebrow does not want to be brushed up. If I brush it up, it looks really crazy and really uneven compared to the other one. I wish I had known that when I was younger. Using the contour for the brows is just really easy, and it stays all day. It's all still there exactly the same when I take my makeup off at night. I'm going to put my lip and cheeks on. So I'll start with the lips, and then I'll figure out how much blush I need. And because I'm wearing red, I'm going to go with Scarlet, which is just a nice red. not going all the way into the corners of my mouth. And this is a matte color. I like to have a gloss on top just so I have more moisture in my lips. And Pop is our red glossy color. If I felt like this was too bright, too much, I could lighten this by adding one of the illuminators. So I have Angel here, and I'm just going to put a little dot in the center of my lower lip. And that just changes it just a little bit. So I might as well put the same color of blush on, which might scare you to think of putting a bright red blush on my cheeks. I'm using this blush and bronzer brush, which is my favorite for blush and bronzer. If I'm applying bronzer with a brush, I do it with this. It just has the right shape for cheekbones, and it's got a medium coverage and puts just the right amount. So I'm going to just boop, dip it like that. You don't need much. I'm going way, way high on my cheekbone and blend. And just patting again. If you swirl and swipe and rub, you're just gonna rub the makeup off, move it around. So I'm patting it. It's also one of the reasons why this makeup ends up looking like skin. And I like to go up to the temples a bit, a little on the bridge of my nose. And then last is some kind of illuminator. Other companies call it highlighter, and Seint calls it illuminator. I could use what I just put on my lips. This is Angel. It's just a very soft cream illuminator. It's not too sparkly at all, a little bit of shimmer. But for anybody older that might have some texture around the eyes, I really love using Petal. It's one of our glossy lip and cheeks. It looks pink here, but it's barely any color on. I'll just show you. It doesn't really show up that much. It really does a nice job of just softening anything around the eyes and giving you a nice bright look. So again, I'm just going to bounce my brush in there, and I'm putting that really high, right here, like where you would get crow's feet. Same on this side. And my makeup is done. So again, take a look at the magnifying mirror before you go anywhere. If you find any places where makeup is in your lines, just press the sponge into your skin and you're ready to go. Have a great day.